Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing the top 10 books that changed my life with a character that changed my life on. I love Winnie the Pooh, so yeah. Featuring an artist that changed my life, Lana Del Rey. Anyway, so I was thinking of like books that changed my life for this video, and it was kind of hard. This is because I feel like no book like has actually changed my life, but I think we're gonna start this off with Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, just because it's my favorite book of all time. I love that book, so I made it a goal after I read that book that when I travel to a different country, I'm gonna buy the book in that language. So I have like 3 versions of it from America, and then I have one from when I went to Switzerland, and I bought it in Lucerne, I think it was. So it's from the Swiss German side. I actually bought 2 there just because of the fact that I bought the first one at a bookstore and it was like a paperback, and I was like, it's not that cute, but what are the odds I'll find another bookstore we're about to leave, and I haven't found one since I got here. So I found one in Lucerne, and yeah, we ended up doing all that and buying it there. And then on the train station in Lucerne, when we were gonna go on a day trip to a waterfall, I found a really stunningly beautiful edition of it and I bought it. And I also found Emma and I bought it, which I haven't read yet, but I was like, it's Jane Austen, I've loved every book of hers I've read, so I also bought it because they're like stunning covers, and the hardback with the stunning cover was cheaper than the paperback I had bought before, but that's fine. I was like, it's okay, it's Pride and Prejudice, so I don't mind. And then last year when I went to Switzerland, I bought one, not in Switzerland, I'm sorry, in Iceland, I bought one in Icelandic, so I also have Pride and Prejudice in Icelandic. So that book for me was just like beautiful, and it showed me just how beautiful and wholesome like this love could be, that it doesn't need to be all like, how do you say this, like fierce and crazy, but like it was just so beautiful. So I love that book. Like I said, it's my favorite book ever, and it's just like great. It's a great book, honestly. Then the second book is Anne of Green Gables, and I think this book changed my life in the sense of like, she goes through a lot of hardship, yet she's always looking at the good side and always looking at everything good, and she has such a great imagination. Like, I loved Anne of Green Gables. I don't want to continue the rest of the series because they say it's not that good, so I'm like, I don't know. But the first book, I just think it's like beautiful, and it's like this childish like freedom that like I wish we all still had. And it's like crazy how optimistic she is when like she's been dealt a shitty hand in life, you know, that she always looks at the bright side and like, it's fine, things are gonna get better, it's gonna be okay, like I got this. And she was just great, you know. I loved her. I loved Anne, so I love that book. Then we have this book, and I guess the whole series, and I say this book changed my life because I always liked reading. Like growing up, it was always like a thing that I liked to do. I would go with my parents to the bookstore and like buy a book or 2 or whatever. But once I read this book, it started this addiction. And I read it in high school, and I remember I made a YouTube, and it's still up, and it was called Ellie in Bookland. I don't really use it anymore, but yeah, it was called Ellie in Bookland. So yeah, there's some videos on there. It's wild. I actually want to look back at those, but this series was the series that started me wanting to do booktube stuff, that got me into booktube, and that got me to build my whole collection, and that has me still obsessed with reading and buying books. And that series was The Selection by Kiera Cass. I know not everybody loves the series, and I know people talk shit about it, and I get it, it's not for everyone, but when I read it, I loved it, and I'm terrified to read it again because everyone's like, that book sucks, it was so bad, and I'm like, am I gonna read it again and think the same way? But like, I don't think so. Like, it was just something that like was like so good. Like, to me it was like crack. Like, I was on it, reading it all the time, going to sleep late. As soon as the book came out, I bought all the novellas. Like, I was on it. Like, I loved it. And since then, I've read every single one of her books. So every book she has out, I have read. And I'm obsessed with Kiera Cass. Some of her books I like more than others. I liked the first 3 in the selection with their novellas better than the later 2 in the selection. I liked The Siren. I thought The Betrothed and The Betrayed, I think that's what it's called, they were okay. And then I read A Thousand Heartbeats, and that one was my least favorite one of all of her books. But I loved the selection, so sorry, not sorry. You can hate on it, but I will never hate on it. And it changed my life because I literally started all of this. And the next book is Everyone's an Alien When You're an Alien Too. And I think it changed my life just because it's such a fun little graphic novel that just talks about how it's okay to be different, it's okay to feel your emotions, it's okay to be scared in life and to not fit in. And I think that was just like a beautiful message. It is a graphic novel that I do reread for that reason. I feel like when I'm down in the dumps, it's always nice to read that, or like I do have it tabbed and like just open up to one of my tabbed pages, or just open up to a random page just because it's so good. And like honestly, I hadn't thought about this, but like I want to look up the author to see if they have any more, because I will buy them and read them because I loved that book. And I just feel like it just gives you a better outlook on life, kind of like Anne in Anne of Green Gables. The next one is Persuasion by Jane Austen, and I just love Jane Austen because I love how she writes her women. Obviously I love how she writes her men. Like Mr. Darcy is, wow, I love that man. Mr. Darcy is the standard, you know. And Mr. was it Wordsworth in Persuasion? I remember I was reading it and I was like, when a part happened, like I love it. Like she writes these like romances that make you kick your feet and be like, oh my god, even when they're like nothing crazy, because like they weren't like sappy little books back then, no. But I love how she writes her women that they're like strong and like, I got this and I can do it myself. Like I don't need you, I don't need a man. Like I appreciate a man, but like I don't need a man. So we love that. We love to see that. So yeah, I feel like Persuasion was just one of those books too that I was just like, it's so good, and like she stood up for herself. The next book was Mexican Gothic, and I feel like this changed my life in the sense of like it showed me that there's like horror books that can actually be like, not horror because it is horror, I don't know why I did this, horror books that can actually like creep you out while you're reading it. Because I've read so many horror books and I'm like, this is like not even scary. And I guess it's like because it's not like in the movies where like you can hear the music and all that stuff that like really sets the tone, so they're usually not scary. But like the way that they described stuff in the book, it was just crazy. Like I remember they were describing for a good amount of time like the wallpaper, and I was like, oh my god, that's so creepy. So it was very like atmospheric and very like rich in explanation. So honestly, it changed my life because like now like I want horror books like that, like explain everything to me, make me feel like I was in the room. Like I was like, I'm in this room, I see the wallpaper in my mind, I see what the wallpaper is doing, and it's kind of creepy. So I loved it. I literally loved Mexican Gothic, and I feel like there's a lot of people that have tried to do something similar to Mexican Gothic since, and no, they haven't done a good job. So no. I feel like if I were ever to write a book, I would never touch the horror or thriller genre, because like it's very hard to get a really good horror or thriller book. So I don't think I would ever do that. Especially horror, I feel like it's very hard to get a good horror book. Because thriller, yeah, you can still get good thrillers, but like horror, like you really have to draw the reader in and scare the bejesus out of them. So not every book could do that, but Mexican Gothic did. And then we have, I love this book, The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, I think it is. Morgenstern. I don't see the book. Okay, it's somewhere over there. I don't see the name of the author. I love that book. I loved that book. Honestly, I was kind of like, I don't know, going into it, but like I loved that book. It was so good. The magic, the descriptions, honestly, I felt like I was in that circus, and it changed my life because since then I've been trying to find books like that and I can't. So it ruined books like that for me. And it was just like such a good book. And if you do read the book, please do yourself the favor of going on Spotify and put Reading the Night Circus, and the music they put is just so good. And for some reason I link that book to the song Bel Air by Lana Del Rey. I don't know why, but listen to Bel Air by Lana Del Rey while reading the book, and I listened to it so many times while reading the book because I just felt like it like livened it up. And honestly, I felt like I was in that circus. I literally felt like I was. I wasn't, but I felt like I was. Next book that changed my life was Midnight Sun, the 5th and new book in Twilight by Stephanie Meyer, I think it is. And it changed my life, not in a good way, in a horrible way. I freaking hated that book. I was like, you ruined Twilight for me. And I loved Twilight. Reading it and watching it, I love it. I know it's not like a masterpiece, but it's a masterpiece to me. And I love it. And like, she ruined it. She ruined it. Like, that book was like ill. It was an ick. It was not it. Like, I understand we're in Edward's brain, but I thought it would be like better. You know what I mean? Like, he felt more like a creep stalker rather than like, I guess Bella romanticized it, and I was like, oh my god, Edward. Because like with the movies I was team Jacob, but with the books I was team Edward all the way. I was like, oh my god, Edward. But then I read that book and I was like, ew, Edward, like disgusting. Maybe I am team Jacob, even though Jacob imprinted on a baby, but like, ew. So I regret reading that book. It was a regret, but it's okay. We had to read it. It was for the plot. I had to read it. You know, it changed my life. Not in a good way, but it changed it. And then the next one we have is The Nutcracker, and not the regular version, the Alexander Dumas one. I read it not last year, the year before during Christmas. While listening to the music of the Nutcracker ballet, and it was magical. And I feel like it changed my life because now every year I need to go see the Nutcracker, and it makes me want to read the book so bad. I even loved it so much so that I bought 2 children's books of the Nutcracker because they were so cute and they were illustrated, and I was just gonna get one, but they were both so cute that I needed both, so I bought both. So it's like infiltrating my life, but it was just so cute and so beautiful for like a Christmas book that I was like, you're right, I need it, and I need every version of it. So I really recommend reading the Alexander Dumas version of the Nutcracker. I do want to read the original version by E.F. Hoffman or E.J. Hoffman, something like that. I think, I could be wrong. I do want to read it, but like, that's such a beautiful version of the Nutcracker. So I recommend it if you like the ballet, and even if you don't, read it while listening to the music, and it's gonna feel magical. I promise you, it's just magical. And the last book is A Lovely War, and it is like Aphrodite telling the story of like these like couple of people, and it's other gods too. I think Hephaestus, I could be saying it wrong, and Ares in the whole story. And it's just, I think it was a very beautiful book. I think it's one of the best books I've read about like historical fiction and stuff like that. It was very nice, and it was told through the eyes of Aphrodite, and just how powerful love is. It was a very beautiful book. And you know what I mean, how love can really pretty much get you through anything. So it was very beautiful. I recommend all of the books on this list but Midnight Sun, unless you want to hate Twilight. And if you're already a Twilight hater, I guess just read it. Can't hate it anymore. No, actually you could. It was not a good book. It just wasn't. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please let me know what books have changed your life, and if any of these books changed your life. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe, do everything I gotta do on YouTube, and see you guys next time. Bye.